In today's video, we're going to have a chat about working from home. So we're stuck in isolation here. It's not a great time. I have the loudest chair in the world and just wanted to share some of my tips. I've been working at home for 5 years now and it's good and bad. So let's have a chat in this video coming up right now. When I say 5 years of working from home, if you tally it up, it's probably more like a year. So use this info at your own risk. When I say year, that includes sleeping. It's 6. It's a month. It is a month of solid work. All right, so step 1 is to have your workplace set up. As you can see here, I've been thrown into the garage, but that's okay because that's where magic happens. So I've got my bookshelf behind me, I've got my desk in front of me, which I'll put some photos up of. I've got some garbage there that doesn't live anywhere else. Got some power tools. So it doesn't really matter what your area is, as long as it's comfortable, clean, and relatively distraction-free. The really important thing is lighting. So something else I wanted to touch on was some of the software that I use. Now I run predominantly on Apple software, but there are some Windows variants to what I use. So don't worry too much about that. So what we'll do, we're going to jump onto the computer, have a look at some of the software that I use, and yeah, here we go. The first app we want to have a look at is one called Trello. So it's a pretty popular app, recently bought by a company called Atlassian, an Australian-based company, which is nice. Trello is based on the Kanban board. So what is a Kanban board? It's not that much different than the old school whiteboards that you might have had, or pin boards that you might have had in a workplace, consisting of columns and cards that moved along. So if we have a look at the example I've set up here, I've got 4 columns: inbox, today, this week, and complete. If I add a new card, I want to say record YouTube video. That's my first card. Okay. So how I use this personally is new tasks that come in for work. They get each task gets a new card. Okay, and comes in the inbox, and I can then grab what I'm going to work on for that day. So the way this works is I can grab the card, put it onto today, work through my today list. If there's stuff that I need to schedule later on for the week, I can pop it into this week. And once I'm done, I can move it over to complete it. Now, the nice thing about this is if I click on the card, I can put in a description of the video. I can make a comment. I can have other members, so we'll go over that in a second. I can put a label on the card, so urgent. Create a new label, urgent. It's being red because it's urgent. There we go. So there's our label, urgent. I can add a checklist, which is cool. To do. And then I can keep adding new items to check off. Okay, and then as I go and work through these, I can then tick them off. Now, if I click off that, I can go back onto my board here. You can see I've got that tag, that label as an urgent. I can also add attachments. There's some power-ups that are tied in with the software. Now, the nice thing about Trello is that to get started, it's free, which is a good price for a lot of people. So you can have a personal board, or if you have a company, you can set up a company board. Depending on the number of boards and the number of people, it may incur a cost, but crazy times. We need a way that we can manage our time when we're all working remotely. So that's pretty cool. I really like Trello. Trello is really good. Nice thing as well, you can email directly to the board. So you can forward an email, say from somebody. It will add all the contents of the email, including all the attachments, straight onto the card, which is cool. So that's Trello. Number 2 is ToDo List, and that can be found at ToDoist.com. And ToDo List is probably one of the most well-known out of the bunch. It's available on pretty much every platform you can think of. It has a free plan and a paid plan, and it's pretty good. It's pretty darn good. Some of the things that aren't available on the free plan boggle me a little bit. For example, labels and commenting, so saving things to the task, which I think is a little odd. Mind you, in saying that, the plan isn't much. It's like $40 a year or something, or there's a monthly plan, so it's not bad. And there's also restrictions around how many devices you can sync to on the free plan as well. So here we're logged into the web portal, and the nice thing is that these all the apps that I mentioned all kind of look ideal, look identical when it comes to the phone app, the web version, or an iPad version, tablet version. So so basically the way ToDo List works is we have a list along the left-hand side. We have an inbox, which we sort of showed to you in Trello, which is manually set up. But an inbox, the idea of an inbox, of course, is that all the ideas go into it. So you don't lose any of those great ideas or tasks through the holes, gaps, I don't know, whatever it is. Through the cracks, that's the word. That's the word I was thinking, through the cracks. So so one can add these tasks to your inbox really quickly, get them out of your head, and then you can come back and process them later, at a later date, next day or that week or whatever. So they've got an inbox here, so we can add a task. Pretty straightforward. Record video for YouTube and hit return, and it's saved. Now on that task, I can then have subtasks. I can have apply them to a project. I can add a label. I can add a priority, add a reminder when it's due, and schedule when I want to actually do the work. Okay, so I might say, cool, I want to do this tomorrow, but I would like to have a label. Now again, that's an upgrade if I was to have it a label, but if I was to have a reminder of when I need to have it due, that's when I would actually need to have a paid plan as well. So a little odd in some respects, but hey, they need to make a dollar. So it's $40 a year, and that's really nothing if this is a productivity tool that it's going to help your work. So nice thing with ToDo List is that it does integrate with additional users as well, and there are business plans available too. So later on we might do a couple of videos on how some of these apps work, how I use certain apps in particular. I've quite heavily used all three of these apps that I'm talking about today. So ToDo List is fantastic. Again, it's platform agnostic, so you can use it on Windows, on Linux, on Mac, all the different devices. There's a handy, if you're a Gmail user, there's a handy little ToDo List plugin which is incorporated directly into Gmail, which is really nice too, if you like to have all those things working. But that's ToDo List. So we've got a today list. We can have tasks in. We've got the next 7 days there. We've got a projects list, and this is a little introduction to show you how you need to train you how to use it. The sections as well, that's a recent thing they've added. So yeah, look, ToDo List is pretty good. I struggle a little with the coloring of it. It seems like an odd thing to say. One thing that Trello is really clear for me is where those lines of tasks stop and start, with the way their columns work, and the next app as well is really straightforward as far as how what task you're working on and what's due. So I find it sort of blends in a little bit too much to my liking. But some people swear by this stuff. So you live and breathe by the task menu you choose. So one little cool thing that I have is this thing called Karma. Basically, doesn't mean anything, but it purely sets a daily goal of how many tasks, or weekly goal of how many tasks you want to achieve, and then shows you kind of a log and a history, a graph of how well you do your work. Now that of course depends on how many tasks are actually created for, say, a small project. That could be skewed either way. So anyway, ToDo List is pretty cool. Quite like the app, and definitely worthwhile checking out. All right, so there's some tips for you for working at home. A couple of apps that I like to use. It's going to be a tough couple of months coming up, so we can all band together and do our thing, work from home, stay safe. And please let me know if you want to see any more of these types of videos. Like, subscribe, ding, comment. What do you use? What apps do you use? Do you like to use? Happy to have a look at them and let you know if I've used them before. And that's about it. So we'll catch you in the next video.